many of you know, but I am kind of a SombraShy shipper, and I'm not ashamed of that, honestly. So I'm happy to present to you a gift I got for Secret Santahooves last year from the author SumireBlossom, also known as TMNT Philly for Life, and I hope you enjoy it. The snowflakes danced in the night air as the wind made them sway to and from before landing on a snow-covered branch or on the cold ground below. At this rate, every pony would be spending the next morning shoveling for hours just to get a hoof out the door. The icicles hummed a haunting tune with the breeze, desperately trying to reach the solid ground below. The only light outside was Luna's moon and the stars that twinkled, making it a wonderful sight for harp swarming. Fluttershy lay on her couch, staring at the snowfall. Though her cottage was cozy, it did nothing to warm the cold in her heart. She wasn't a fan of winter. She had to say goodbye to most of her animal friends months ago. Harry and many others were hibernating in their dens, waiting for spring to return. Many of her bird friends had flown south. Though this happened every year, Fluttershy worried about them. Did they eat enough food or had enough to sleep the entire winter? Did they have a warm place to sleep tonight? What if something bad happened to them during their journey? Fluttershy shook herself from those thoughts. They were fine. They were always fine, just like all the years before. The few animals that stayed mostly slept in their beds when they weren't eating. Angel was snoozing away in his bed with the half-eaten carrot between his paws. And though he was here, Fluttershy was basically alone again this holiday season. Applejack and Pinkie Pie had left a few days ago to celebrate with the Pie family on their rock farm. Twilight and Spike were in Canterlot. Rainbow Dash was performing at a winter celebration over in Manhattan with the Wonderbolts. Rarity had taken her family on a winter getaway to Applewood. She and her sister Sweetie Belle had snagged roles in a heartwarming Eve motion picture and was premiering at the Pony East Theater there. Discord, her closest friend, was off on a diplomatic mission with Celestia and Luna in Yak-Yakistan. Her parents had arrived a few days ago, but Zephyr Breeze had gotten himself into trouble in Saddle Arabia. Apparently, he was writing letters to a Saddle Arabian princess that needed his help, only for him to arrive there and get robbed and lost in the country. So they were very late and couldn't make it for housewarming. Fluttershy couldn't bring herself to blame them, or her brother, but this happened every year. She would celebrate the holiday that brought ponies together, completely and utterly alone.
Am I interrupting your brooding?
Fluttershy squeaked in alarm when she heard the deep timbre voice of the latest resident in her home. She turned to see the former King Sombra entering the living room. Due to the success of reforming Discord, Celestia gave Fluttershy the task of reforming all their previous foes. Celestia insisted that the next villain to be reformed was the former king of the Crystal Empire and the dark magic sorcerer himself. Sombra had been living with Fluttershy since early spring, and she could see a great amount of improvement on his part. Though it was a rocky first couple of weeks, Fluttershy was able to get him to open up and help the community. His demeanor and attitude changed. Though he still spoke very gruffly, and his tone could be menacing at times, he was kinder, and not as condescending as he was when she first met him. His appearance hadn't really changed much in that time either. His horn was still curved from all the years he had used dark magic. His mane still flowed like menacing shadow during the night. His teeth were still sharp as daggers. Gone was the purple and green glow in his eyes. and was replaced with red pupils. His crown and cloak were also absent. Even so, he was no longer the dictator he once was.
Sorry, Sombra. Did you need something?
Fluttershy politely asked, mentally kicking herself for not being a good host to her student.
I was going to ask you the same thing.
Sombra stated bluntly. This was the first time Sombra had said anything like this. Though his behavior had improved, he was still reluctant to help those around him, unless he had no other choice.
No, I'm okay.
She lied. It was her job to help him, not the other way around. She didn't want to burden him with her problems.
I have a hard time believing that.
Sombra walked forward and rested next to her on the couch. He stared at the snow with much distaste. Of what? Fluttershy didn't know. There was an awkward silence between the two of them before Sombra spoke again.
I think for once, we have something in common.
What do you mean?
I hate this time of year as well.
I don't hate it.
Fluttershy stammered.
I just miss my animal friends, that's all.
There's more to it than that.
He grumbled.
I overheard you talking to your parents over the landline. You are always alone during this time of year. All of your friends, pony and animal, are gone. Even your family can't show up.
He gritted his teeth at the last point. When Fluttershy took the role of reforming Sombra, Princess Celestia confessed that Sombra and Discord were her younger brother and father, respectively. It has been a closely guarded secret that only Fluttershy and the royal family know. Fluttershy figured that Sombra was upset that his family still didn't trust him on their royal mission for the holiday. She wasn't sure how to bring it up, so she kept quiet.
Though I shouldn't complain. During my reign of the Crystal Empire, I forced my citizens to suffer an eternal winter, but never gave them heart's warming. I wanted to break their spirits so that they would never rise up against me.
He gestured to the snow outside.
This is just one big reminder of what I am. The King of Shadows and Winter. A monster that every pony must hate and fear.
I don't think that's true. A monster wouldn't feel bad about what they did. What you said just now proves that you regret your decisions.
It's still not enough. No matter how many ponies I help, it would never be enough for all the lives I've ruined.
One day, it will be enough. You work hard every day to be the better pony. I know it will happen, and Celestia knows that too. But for now, you just have to keep working at it. One step at a time.
Sounds a little too optimistic, don't you think?
He sighed, rubbing a hoof to his temples.
But thank you, I guess.
Fluttershy gave him a warm smile. It was then she noticed he had something near his front hooves. Sombra noticed her glance.
I've heard it's a tradition to give some pony a gift during the holiday.
He hovered the small wrapped package in his magic towards Fluttershy. The package was poorly wrapped in green paper tied with a red ribbon. Fluttershy gently smiled and opened the present. Inside was a circular wreath about the size of her own hoof. Unlike most wreaths that were constructed of branches and ribbons, the wreath was composed of feathers, bits of fur, teeth, and claws. Fluttershy looked up at Sombra, puzzled.
Before your animal friends left, I asked them to give me something of theirs so a part of them would stay with you, even when they are far away or hibernating. It took me a few weeks to get everything together, but it didn't turn out the way I hoped.
Fluttershy felt tears well up in her eyes. She hugged the little wreath close to her chest. It was like she was being hugged by all of her critters.
Sombra, this is the most thoughtful gift any pony has ever given me.
She wiped the tears from her eyes and flitted over to her fireplace and placed the wreath on the mantelpiece alongside all the pictures of her family and friends.
Oh! I have something for you too.
Fluttershy took off to her hallway closet and grabbed a large red package she had stored away. She grunted as she lugged it from the hallway to the living room. Sombra had a surprised look on his face at the thought of some pony giving him a heartwarming present.
Here! Happy hearts warming, Sombra,
she said in between gasps of air. Sombra chuckled as he walked over to the package and grabbed at the ribbon to open it. He levitated the gift from the package. It was a large quilt that was mostly red with white and black edges, similar to his cloak he wore as a tyrant. The major difference was the individual squares. Each had a detailed embroidered image of Sombra's redemption journey of that year. Him putting out the fire of Miss Cheerleys' schoolhouse, saving Bonbon's kitten from a tree, and so many more.
I made it to prove all the progress you made this year, to remember all your good deeds. I know sometimes it's hard to move away from the past, but I hope this gives you some comfort.
Sombra levitated the quilt around his shoulders as he wrapped it around himself.
It's very thoughtful,
he simply stated. Fluttershy smiled, though he didn't emote like normal ponies. She knew deep inside he was happy. Before either of them could say anything, Fluttershy let out a large sneeze. Sombra chuckled slightly.
Cold?
A little. I'll put more wood in the fire.
As she moved towards the logs, she let out a little squeak as she was encased in Sombra's magic. She was moved underneath the quilt and pressed against Sombra's side, making her blush.
I'll take care of that. You should enjoy yourself.
Fluttershy nodded and watched him add more logs to the fire. The crackling fire was the only noise in the living room, as the two enjoyed their silent company. The smell of the fire left a lovely scent in the air. It wasn't long till the room became warm again underneath the blanket. And this time, it warmed Fluttershy's heart. She wasn't alone. Not anymore. This wasn't the dreaded loneliest season of years past, but a true, heartwarming eve. Fluttershy closed her eyes in bliss and contempt as she slowly dozed off. Sombra shifted his weight in the quilt to make her feel more comfortable. He let a genuine smile grace his face as he watched her drift into dreamland next to him. He gently bent his neck and, not wanting to wake her, placed a small kiss to her forehead.
Happy heartwarming eve, Fluttershy.
The end. Thank you for listening, every pony. Feel free to subscribe and turn on the notification bell to know when I post more content like this. Feel free to follow me on TikTok, Patreon, X, and Discord. Links in the description. And should you want to join my new nation, feel free to join the Shade Hollow, my Discord server. Good night, every pony.